Hi, my name is Jeff Adams, and I'm on my third career. I started as an athlete competing at the Paralympics, and when I retired, I started two medical device engineering companies, which I sold a number of years ago. I went back to school, and I'm now working as a lawyer in the area of labor employment and human rights. As an athlete, I get to travel the world and hear the sound of celebration. That sound always reminded me that I was part of a celebration and surrounded by excellence. And I've come to realize that we are always surrounded by excellence. Some days are easier than others. And on the tough days for me, I always try to remind myself about being surrounded by excellence. But we have to choose to make an effort to understand it and to be a part of it. The year after the Paralympics in Sydney, Edmonton was hosting the World Championships, and the 1500-meter wheelchair event was on the schedule. And 3 weeks before the event, in my last very difficult training session, I fractured a small bone in my wrist. I tried to keep training, but I just couldn't train at the level that I needed to. And word had gotten out that I was injured. Everyone in the race knew that by going fast, it would make it the most difficult race for me. And with 200 meters to go, I was in every shade of pain you can imagine. As ashamed as I am to admit it to this day, I had given up. And I told you about traveling the world and the sound, the sound of celebration from the stadiums, the sound of celebration that reminded me about being surrounded by excellence. But that day in Edmonton, the sound took on a new dimension because right at the top of the turn, right when I'd given up, I heard someone cheering my name. And it did something unexpected because it went from being the sound of celebration to the sound of support. And it reminded me of all the people who had helped get me to that point. It didn't make me fitter, faster, stronger. It didn't push me to the finish line, but it did something better because it gave me the courage to dig a little bit deeper and try a little harder on a day when I didn't believe I had the energy to do that. And that's what resilience is often about. It's finding the courage to face your barriers. It's not always about overcoming them, but having the courage to try is always the first step. And I tried that day. I tried as hard as I could, but I still came up a little bit short. I finished in second place. I don't normally like silver medals, but it's the best medal I ever won because every time I look at it, every time I think about that race, it reminds me that none of us get to our finish lines alone. The people who surround us with excellence will make that sound of support for us on the days when we need to hear it. And we all have people in our lives who will make that sound for us. Please listen for that sound on the days when you need to find the courage to face up to the barriers in your lives. But most importantly, please make that sound for the people in your lives that you care about. Help them find courage on days when they may need it. That same summer, I had an opportunity to go to a training camp. One of the kids attending the camp was using a wheelchair and wasn't fitting in very well. And I brought my racing chair to let him try it. Now, you have to imagine my chair was significantly better technology than this kid had access to. He took one push and he made a sound. It was the sound of a kid having fun, but it was also the sound that people make when they get access to something that could change their lives. And I'll never forget that sound. And if I had to choose between hearing either of those two sounds ever again, the sound of the crowd or the sound that kid made when he got access to something that could change his life, it wouldn't take me a heartbeat to decide which one. And that's the biggest lesson that sport teaches us. It teaches us to always strive for the biggest celebration possible. But it's the small celebrations along the way that define us, that make us into the people that we want to be, that let us practice resilience. And we do that by keeping our messages as strong, as clear, and as consistent as we can, by making the sound of support to the people in our lives that we care about, and by remembering that none of us get to our finish lines alone. Thank you.